Oh, everybody, this is a two-part series. This is an interview via Zoom with Andy Vaughn, owner of Pure Polish Products, and this is going to get you some real information to help you cut through the misinformation and the mysticism online so that you can understand better how to take care of leather and why. Okay, so this is a rare opportunity to find the information straight from the horse's mouth with somebody who knows. Okay, so let's go. Hello, everybody. It's Robert Powers. 4.5 out of 5.
My shoe collection.
These are made of shell cordovan. Can you tell the difference?
Now here they are finished up.
I'm not a professional. Look how tight this is, though. Very clearly here, I just cut the thread in half.
Look at that. See?
And here they are, all finished up. So today, I'm very excited here. I've got a very special guest. I've got Andy Vaughn. Andy Vaughn, make sure I get the right title. Is it president? What would be your official title?
Owner, maker.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
Of Pure Polish, right? Pure Polish Products. And I've been following you here for a little while now on, mainly Facebook with your posts and your involvement in some of the Facebook groups, the shoe-based groups, namely like Alan Edmonds Enthusiast, and there's a couple other you're involved in. And what's really impressed me, and the reason I wanted to talk with this man is because if you guys know my channel at all, you know I like to and have a burning need to know why stuff works. And it seems like so much hearsay, mysticism. Well, this guy's got 9 pairs or 19 pairs of shell cordovan shoes that are 20 years old, so he must be right, and I buy what he buys. And it's not totally unscientific, but yet, so I'd love to find out, first of all, we talk about before, you talk about the problems and the solutions, and I think you have amazing solutions for some of the problems. Who are you? Would you mind saying, a little bit? So, because probably most people here have never heard of you or don't know who you are.
Sure. So I own Pure Polish Products in Bend, Oregon, and we do leather care, primarily shoe polish, because that's what we're focused around. Shoes use some of the highest grade leathers in the world. But and I make it all by hand, so non-toxic, all natural, biodegradable ingredients. And we ship it all over the world. We're in 6 countries with distributors, and then I ship direct to consumer all over the world. So that's who I am, and I've been doing it for
How long have you been in business? Or as long as a company been in business?
Yeah, well, so previously it was Glencare and Care Products. So, I mean, before I jump into any history aspects of that, I've been in it for 2.5 years. But there's this whole beautiful backstory of Glencare and where that came from, and that was so that's been around since 2013. So it's been around a little while, and it's got some incumbency in the depth of the world for higher end shoes and whatnot.
Anything else you want to say about the company wise, or how deep do you want
to? There was a need that for something that was great for the experience of the user. I think, a lot of the competition out there has been around a long time. They make some beautiful products. I would never speak disparagingly about any of the competitors. They're great. They make beautiful products. I think what I'd like to say is that there was a reason why we came out. There's kind of the whole aspect of the traditional send the husband to the garage to go shine his shoes because the smell's too putrid for the family or whatnot. And we want to make things that are good if you absorb it into your skin as the techniques are starting to get closer to feeling it push into the grain. So all those reasons kind of culminated in this development of a biodegradable, non-toxic, very pleasurable smelling product. So yeah, that's kind of the foundation behind the company.
Okay. And I'll tell you where I stand. So how long have I been really serious into shoes? Only about 4 or 5 years, I think. I think my YouTube channel is really only a little over 3 years old. Whenever you look at my YouTube channel, you'll see the ones that really suck, the videos at the beginning. That's when I started to, my first video is a review of a $90 Florsheim, glued sole Florsheim shoe I didn't even know was glued on. But so I was a Kiwi guy, you know what I mean? My dad taught me to shine shoes. Then I was introduced to Sapphire, and it's like, ooh, okay. And to be honest with you, I didn't see a need. I saw nothing wrong with Sapphire, okay? And I am going to point out some things. I'm going to call it like it is, okay? So I love your style, but I'm going to call it like I see it. Can we talk about let's start with solutions make no sense without a problem, right? So you've
Okay.
listed a couple generically. So let's talk about leather for a second. One of the things that really excited me about the posts that you've made, little videos on Instagram, and I'll put in the video here, links to your Instagram, everything that I can, your website, is that it was based on science. And some of the stuff I already knew, so I knew it was accurate. So before we talk about leather care, because as I said before, it's like, how do you take care of leather? I don't have enough time in my lifetime, I've got 11 pairs of Allen Edmonds shoes to go a decade and say, oh, that didn't work. I screwed up 9 of my pairs because I was using the wrong conditioner, or whatever.
Sure.
So we talk about like the basics of leather. What is leather? What is it made of? And what state should it be in to be preserved? And how do you know this?
Yeah, well, I mean, so the unique thing that we see with shoe leather is that it's not just leather, right? Because leather from a tannery or leather on a hide, without human interaction, has its own aging qualities. The oils and fats will oxidize and go rancid over time. It will age unto itself, eventually dry out, crack, and whatnot. But leather,
Time out.
oh yeah, sure.
Oxidize, that word's been used a lot. My background, I currently work in finance, but my degree is mechanical engineering technology, but I haven't worked in the field professionally in over a decade. My understanding, the word oxidize is when the oxygen molecules combine with something else. Like when it's iron, it turns into iron oxide, which is rust. When aluminum oxidizes, you get aluminum oxide, which is that powder, right? So, but in general, that is a detrimental breakdown of a substance, organic or non-organic. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah, and so that happens to the fats. All fats within leather will oxidize over time, and
regardless of what you do.
Regardless of what you do, I mean, it's exposed to. Well, I guess I'm trying to think of a vacuum chamber where you've got some situation. Right. So, all human natural uses, it will oxidize over time. So you've got to be able to replace that. You've got to be able to take care of that, put it back in so that the leather can maintain its stable point, and then its using point, right? Its suppleness, its flexibility, so it doesn't crack. I live in Bend, Oregon, which is this dry desert, high plateau, super dry area. Then leather just dries out completely here.
Really?
Everybody here, yeah, and it's just, so you do run the risk of cracking. And when leather cracks, beyond resurfacing it with sandpaper, which are you going to do that across your nice sofa or something like that, or your bespoke pair of Cleverly shoes? I mean, be careful. You've got to be able to.
No problem with it.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking, did I just say some specific brands that were exactly just done that to? But yeah. So but typically for good care though, you're not getting to that point where it needs to actually be taking down material. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have to be able to take material off the top. You want to keep it into a condition where it doesn't have to do that. So that involves replacing the oils. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's in terms of like I said, with footwear leather, you've got the human interaction involved, right? And human behavior has all these things. You scuff your toes when you're walking. I always scuff my toes and heels when I'm driving. I will mirror polish my shoes almost every single day, and I will scuff them almost every single day. And it's this, just rolling the ball back up the hill, and it right. Just comes right back down, and that's okay. Because like, I know that I'm scuffing the wax and I'm not scuffing the leather, and that's one of those factors in there.
You don't want to get it to that.
Yeah, well, and that happens because
thrifted shoes. So I purchased them in this condition. I never let mine get that bad.
Well, and the idea, I mean, because here's where really the resurgence is that's buy it for life, right? I mean, resolable shoes, right? One of the reasons we buy resolable shoes is so we can just restitch on a new sole, and we can take care of the leather, and that it will last us a lifetime if we care for it in the proper way. You're scuffing that leather, you're kicking it, you're smacking it, you're breaking it down. Same thing with if it dries out. So you've got all these human behavior aspects that you've got to just kind of correct and bring it back to its natural state. Because leather by itself is just this amazing material that lasts a long time. It's beautiful, it's supple. It's just got some aspects that now that you're using it, you've got to like be aware that you're human. You're doing human things, and human things involve scuffing and kicking and walking, and you're actually going out.
So leather, one other quick question. Leather is actually made up of collagen, and collagen is a protein. Like it's bundled fibers of protein, right?
Yeah, so you've got the grains and you've got the proteins and I mean, and of course, if you're speaking leather generally, because there's so many different kinds of leather,
Mhm.
corrected grain leather that you've got shaved off the top, full grain leather. Are you talking
And I've got other videos about those things. Which
yeah, actually, I caught up on a few of those. Those were great. It was great to be speaking with him from Ashland Leather, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
no, those were
Oh,
great. But yeah. So there's all kinds there, all
you ever
kinds of
interested
leather.
Does the
Yes.
fat go between the collagen to lubricate it? You know what I mean? So you need fat and collagen both to have flexible leather?
The real wizard behind all the chemistry, you'd have to talk to Glenn Tippis,
Yeah,
the
I
guy
will
who
go to Glenn
originally
way too
created
much.
all the recipes. I mean, and we have, and I can spew forth the chemistry that he's provided, but he went so deep into the chemistry of the leather process to be able to break it down to exactly how the fibers are, exactly what the chemistry is, the evaporation rates, the rancidity rates, the types of oils and whatnot, and then came up with these recipes that we use for pure polish. So Pure Polish is all of Glencairn Care products now. Is Pure Polish. Glenn also lives here in Bend, Oregon, but he's friends, nice guy, and yeah. So I'm less into the chemistry side. I had to learn all this after he already came forth with, okay, this is what I found, and it wasn't just him. It was, he was part of a whole cohort of individuals on the Style Forum shoe care thread back that started, I think, in 2008, 2009, of, a couple bespoke makers. You've got D.W. Farmer II, you've got Patrick Booth, you've got Nicholas Templeman, you've got Glenn Tippett, and all these people are in there, and people in the tanning industry discussing, what are the issues, what are the problems that they have with the current products in the market, what are the behavioral issues they're seeing, and then he came up with this,
Wow.
this formula. So
could you talk about saddle soap? Because I have my most popular video, by the way, last check, it had like 150,000 views or something. And also it's like one of the most heated ones. I just showed how to use Kiwi saddle soap.
Oh yeah, you just throw me up against the reigning contender, right? Saddle soap. No, so I mean, saddle soap, it's got a long history, right? You've got I believe it's tallow is the fats that they use in that, and then glycerin. So it's replacing some of the oils, but then you've also got the glycerin, which bonds with the oils, that pulls other oils out and then cleans off the waxes. But saddle soap by itself is pH basic. So that's one of the things that you got to keep in mind, is leather is inherently, out of the tannery, is pH acidic. So if you're using something that's pH basic over time, it's going to be pulling the oils out, and it's going to lead to that cracking that we're talking about that you don't want to see. So while you can use saddle soap on your leather, and people have stories, I've used saddle soap on my leather from the 1960s and it's doing great and it's still doing this, you have to course correct. So not that saddle soap in itself is inherently bad. I'm not going to go in the industry and espouse something that's been around for hundreds of years, but it leaves glycerin within the pores, which can create a blockage issue of evaporation of the moisture from your foot. And you're using something that, like I said, is pH basic on something that needs to remain pH acidic to prevent the funk, the rot, the mold, the mildew that can be caused from all the 50,000 sweat glands that are in your feet.
Now, hang on right there 1 second. So being acidic, if leather becomes basic, then that increases bacteria growth within the leather?
Yeah, you run that risk. Especially as you're walking out in moist environments. Your feet sweat all day long, and then you're going to be promoting that bacterial growth.
So the acidic nature is naturally antibacterial?
Per my understanding, yeah, that's always been my understanding. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's what I found is with shoes is, I mean, I've done a lot of thrifting, and a lot of people on the shoe forums like, oh, how do you kill the bacteria? I'm like, I've never once picked up a smelly shoe. They're generally dry, and I don't know, and I just.
Well, and there's a lot of history, or a lot of thrifters will use UV lights to break down and kill bacteria first, and then you can also use isopropyl alcohol.
I use alcohol just to be.
Yeah, exactly. You want to go in and you want to kill any sort of bacterial growth that may be in there, but you got to think even yourself. If you're getting a brand new pair of shoes, you want to prevent anything that's going to happen over time. But there is that long history of stinky work boots, right?
Right.
People go out, they buy their nice leather boots, and then they seal them up to prevent them from weather. And then by sealing it, it
Oh,
starts to rot from the inside out, and it doesn't breathe. And you get that rot, mold, funk environment, and then
got it.
it stinks. You got to replace it, and then that kind of invalidates the whole point behind the buy it for life and resolable shoes. If you're having to replace it because you're molding them from the inside out anyway.
Would you talk about then? I used this for the first time yesterday. This stuff right here.
Yeah, what's that?
This is a Pure Polish cleaner conditioner. And you list your ingredients on here, and I believe that this is a full ingredient list, right?
It is.
And the ingredient list on this is cleaner conditioner is what this says. Ingredients: orange oil, beeswax, coconut oil. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's very distinctly, the primary smell I smell is orange. I had my wife smell it, and she said something interesting. She said licorice,
Oh, interesting.
But it very, very distinctly smells of orange is what I smell.
Yeah. There's a lot of orange oil in there, and the cleaner conditioner, right? Those are two separate activities,
Right.
but they're often used in the same process. I got a message earlier today from somebody from one of those Facebook groups messaging, how do I pull off old dead wax, or I've got too many wax layers, and then be able to start anew and be able to create a nice new base. And one of the things we do with the cleaner conditioner is you can adjust kind of the cloth that you use, right? You can use a thicker cloth, like a flannel, or you can use like a thin cloth, like a thin muslin, that has no stretch to it. So the thicker cloth will, the still oils will get absorbed into the thick cloth, and then you'll be using the orange oil to then clean, right? So it'll pull up more of the waxes. So I kind of say the thicker the cloth, or a cotton ball or a cotton pad, you'll be using more of the cleaning, and the thinner cloth, you'll be using more of the conditioning.
No
So
way.
that's
Really?
kind of the dual effect that you can have
Wow.
of it.
Fascinating. So I used your cloth,
Yeah.
okay? And what I did was I'm looking at your products. I'm like, okay, all my shoes are pretty on point. I haven't been, I've been working mostly from home, so I haven't been like, I don't like, what am I going to shine? And I found, not found, but I had this pair of Allen Edmonds Fifth Avenues, and I don't know how it shows up on the screen.
Yeah.
The most beat up shoes I have in my house. They're scuffed and scraped. I mean, they've gouged. They got salt.
Yeah.
And I took the left shoe and I polished it with only your stuff.
Nice.
So what I did was I just brushed it off with a horsehair brush. And then that's it. I didn't wipe it down with a damp cloth. And I hope this shows up. This was a perfectly clean cloth. That's what came off. Now this product is, obviously you can see, white neutral color. So obviously that's dirt or wax that came off the shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it will pull that up. I mean, I guess, because I've also restored, just in my experimentation with my own products, because I use only my own products. Take totally old shoes. Sometimes you got to pull off layers and layers of wax, or some people use black wax or black cream on burgundy shoes or navy shoes or light brown, and nobody knows what they're doing, and you have to kind of pull and clean and restore it. So yeah, and you've got all this adjustment factor that you can do, like I said, with thickness of cloth, based off of what you're trying to achieve. But leather by itself is,
one more time.
Yeah,
thicker, more absorbent cloth.
Thicker
cleaning.
Is more cleaning. Yeah. It's got more of that kind of scrub effect, but also so you've got two oils in there, as you mentioned. You've got orange oil, which naturally has its ascorbic acid and its citric acid, which are both cleaners. They evaporate very quickly, they bond to the waxes, and they can pull them off. Then you've got the coconut oil, which is this beautiful still oil, which is more of a lubricant, a conditioning oil that you want to have saturate within the fibers of leather. But by using a thick fibrous cloth, now those still oils are getting absorbed into the cloth, and you're using more of the orange oils to kind of pick up. So it's just kind of like a hack. I mean, and some people love to use their fingers. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, is the non-toxic aspect, is being able to use your fingers when you're trying to condition. I mean, you get some totally stripped pair of old beat up Allen Edmonds from a thrift store. You've stripped them down. They're dried out. You don't want them to crack. You need to condition. You can use your fingers or a thin cloth, and it now pushes the conditioning oil in without needing to clean as much.
Okay. That's awesome. And speaking of using your fingers, though, Sapphire does have pine turpentine base, doesn't it? Or is the solvent, right?
That's, yeah, per my knowledge, that's what they use for their solvent, yes.
Yeah, and so, I mean, turpentine, I mean, I'm not a chemist, but I'm pretty sure I know anything you put on your skin absorbs into it and then it goes into your bloodstream. And I don't think turpentine is good for the human body, even if it does come from a pine tree.
There are some human toxicity components. I mean, I'm not going to talk too much on theirs, but I will talk, ours are all non-toxic and non-carcinogenic over time, which, if you're talking for the average user, that's not a main factor, but it is important.
I'm gonna go into more of this because okay, so here's your high shine wax. Okay, and I put a post on this, so I'm holding them the same distance from the camera. First of all, okay, audience, which one? This I paid $27 for. This is less than about half the cost, right? Yeah, about half the cost. But this is twice as big, right? How many milliliters is yours?
60.
This is 75. Can you guys see the scalloping out on that? This is 75 milliliters. This is 60. Okay, number one thing. Somebody else pointed this out. I didn't realize it. It's got a whole bunch of hazard warnings on the back, and yours doesn't. And again, it shows the ingredients as it's awesome. Orange oil, carnauba wax, and beeswax. So, but back to the cleaner conditioner. Let me tell you what really surprised me about this. The things I've used Shoe MGK, Shoe Magic, it's very thick, very greasy. 2 days later, the shoe's still slimy. Can't, what do you call it? Mirror shine on top of it.
Sure.
I've used the Sapphire. This is the Renovateur mink oil based, works very well, but the shoe to me, even a day later, still feels tacky with this. And I don't know how deep it penetrates, but and this part is probably unscientific. I'm not sure if it's really getting down into it and the reason I feel that way is because I see so much of it on the top a day later, much more of it seems to go in than the Shoe Magic, Shoe MGK. I've also used Ashland Leather Company does make a cool product, Tanner's Blend, which that has credibility to me because Phil Callis, who worked at Horween Leather Company, said they use that during the tanning process, and that's mainly lanolin, which comes from sheep, but it seems to dry quickly. I've used Kiwi Leather Lotion. Of everything I've used, this to me seems to work the best. And I have these two shoes here, like I said, same batch of leather, whatever. The pliability, the softness of the leather was distinctly different after conditioning it, compared to,
Sure.
Yeah. And here's the part that really surprised me though. I just followed the directions on it. I'm going to say 10 minutes after? How long was it? I think it was, air dry 1 to 2 hours. I let it sit for about an hour and a half. When I came back an hour and a half later, there was no evidence of anything on the surface. That's what really blew me away. It seems to do the best job it seemed to really soak into the leather, and it wasn't slimy.
Yeah.
Well,
like any products, you can slime it, I mean, you can slather it on, and I've had to walk some people back from some process of oversaturation. But it's designed with the ratio, and it's funny, it's the simplistic ingredients, right, or simple ingredients, beeswax, orange oil, coconut oil, but that ratio makes it so that it would get over sticky before it gets oversaturated. I mean, that was one of the things with coconut oil. When Glenn first released the products in 2013, everybody kind of everybody was going on a coconut oil craze.
Hey, doesn't coconut oil go rancid? It's terrible for shoes.
Yeah, don't use any food products, right? And I'm thinking, how many other food products are there? You get talking mink and tallow and lanolin. I mean, these are all animal ingredients, right? They're all food products. They're all fat oils, animal oils, or plant oils. But coconut oil, it has the lowest iodine value, which is one of the factors in terms of oxidation rates. So it's like, it actually it's one of the reasons why we chose it is because it won't go oxidized. It won't go rancid as fast as the other oils. But you can oversaturate the grain and the collagen and make it so that it will be non-absorbent to other waxes or further polishes if you just slather it on, smother it, and just pure it on. So one of the things with having the beeswax in there is that also helps make it so that it's got that point where it would get too sticky before it got too saturated. So having a nice ratio there makes it so that you don't just go to the store and go buy yourself a bunch of cold pressed coconut oil and smother at your shoe. I mean, you know, I've before this project, you know, I demoed doing things like that. You can ruin a pair of shoes just way too much.
And by the way,
condition.
I remember you saying that because we had a phone call, you know, before this, obviously. And then I used it, and here's what I felt. When I put too much on my finger and I spread it around an area, it was almost intuitive to me because it felt like a greasy puddle. So when I put too much on, I by instinct spread it out further, and that greasiness went away. It almost seems self-regulating in a sense.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, that's the design for sure. And, you know, the solvent will help as a little bit of a, what do they call it? Not applicator, but it helps open up the pores a little bit. In a sense, you get that orange oil effect. It helps open it up a little bit. The coconut oil goes in, and then you're pressing. And also your technique, as you get, you know, more into your shoe shining, will be more as being aware of the grain, the direction of the grain, and how it gets absorbed better and faster.
Wow. So, wow. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the cream polish. Like, you know, I've used Saphir's cream polish, and I don't know if you can tell on camera if anybody's used it, but the cream polish is very creamy consistency, right? And traditionally the cream polishes are higher pigment. They're more focused on scuff, scratch, you know, covering and nourishing the leather, and less so on the high shine, correct? Is that accurate?
Yeah, cream polish is what we call your everyday polish. It's, you know, the leather's already in a good enough shape that you don't need to totally condition it. You don't need to bring it back from the dead, but you want to be able to make sure that the color maintains its brightness and that it's got its scuff protection to it. So usually cream has a mixture of soft and hard waxes. It's got its pigment, and it's got some conditioning oil in it to kind of maintain that level, but you're not trying to bring it back from a below baseline point.
I'm trying to get some decent light in here and show these two shoes. I know the camera is not great. I'll probably cut in. I'll probably just edit in a picture is probably what I'll do. So on these shoes, I told you I used the cleaner conditioner on this shoe. Okay, this will be the left shoe, but so I used the cleaner conditioner, then waited an hour, brushed it. Then I used the walnut cream polish. I did, I think, one coat overall, and then I think I did a second light coat just on the vamp area here, on the toe cap. Then I used the mirror gloss. And again, I'll cut in a video because it's not going to, you know, show it well enough here. And the shoes, it looks pretty darn good. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And I timed myself. The mirror shine, by the way, the mirror shine itself was less than 18 minutes. I think that's the fastest, you know, I've been able to do one. So I was really impressed. The cream polish is kind of interesting though. It's not a soft, it feels at first touch like wax, but the second I touched it and scooped it, it kind of almost liquefies a little bit. That's what I felt. I could be wrong or articulating this poorly, but that's what the user experience I felt.
Yeah, so I mean, our cream polish and our paste polish, they come in the same tins, but the cream, you know, I mean, they have different uses. And what it really comes down to is the ratio of stiff waxes or hard waxes to soft waxes, and then also the ratio of oils to wax. So in a cream polish, you'll find more conditioning oils, more pigmentation, and softer waxes. Because cream polish isn't just used, you know, as I said at the beginning, we're not just a shoe polish company, even though shoe polish, we're not leather care, but we have people who do handbags. They love leather. The neutral cream polish is great for keeping the leather supple, keeping it protected and scuff protected. You know, you've got a purse, handbag, things like that. Yeah, exactly. And it's gonna keep and still have the nice migration of the patina oils over time from hand touching. So you still have the migration of the oils that show up in a beautiful
that color.
Yeah, so it doesn't cover that.
This is dumb. There's a couple little things I noticed here. First of all, I want to show you guys this little ASMR here. All right, hold on. You pull that little strip, and you get this seal. I don't know, you know. But here's what I like. I like the fact that the lid unscrews. You know, like the Sapphire Mirror Gloss unscrews. But I hate this dumb thing, right? When they have that little. The pop rivet, the thing that's pop riveted on and twists, and you can see there, I got a piece of masking tape, okay, over this hole, and then the hole is now like 4 times the size because I got to stick the pliers in there.
Sure.
Thank you for putting a, you know,
Yeah, well, we'll keep it then. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Like I said, that's nothing brand new. Of course, Sapphire has the same thing on the
Sure,
but
sure.
yeah. So so that was the cream polish. Oh, by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
one step. I mirror shined the toe. I did put one thin layer over top of the cream polish of the mirror gloss over the entire upper, but just one, because if you mirror shine a vamp, it cracks. Now, there's something else you sent me, and I'm gonna have to see how I cut in the video. So here's my strands, and I used on the strands this stuff here, and you may or may not be able to read it on the screen, but this is the Pure Polish light brown water resistant cream polish. And I saw one of your tests and I kind of duplicated it. What
Yeah.
makes this different? This is a cream
It's
polish.
it's a unique product. It's pretty unique in the market space, and it was based around the need. It was based around the user problem, right? The user problem is you want to be able to wear leather, and you can't always account for rain. I live in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. While we're in the drier section in Bend, we've got Seattle and Portland and Valley and San Francisco, and you've got London, and you've got all these places where it'll rain or you'll step in a puddle or something. You don't want to both cause the problems we talked about earlier from constant water coming in and out and creating mold environments, but also water spotting doesn't look as good. And part of
You
the
guys
thing
get
is
snow?
we get a lot of snow here. Yes, we're in the mountains. We're at about 3,000 feet elevation.
If people don't, if people have never lived in an environment where it snows and you wear dress shoes, I'm telling you, you can have, and I'm going to show you here on the side. I may have to cut in a video, okay? But I don't know if you can see it, but there
The
is,
salt stains.
yes. I mean, it can literally happen from one exposure, and you'll see, the ring around where the salt water got in, and the salt water changes the chemical composition of the shoe. I don't know what it does, but
Yeah.
it'll, like, a lot of times puff out like a poison ivy blister, and so it's not just like, oh, I don't like spot. I mean, people
Right.
that live in tropical climates, if you've never gone through this, like, you can ruin a pair of shoes just because you went out without your galoshes.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
big deal. So I
Well,
did,
and yeah, so that's the beginning problem for what was the creation of this, right? And Glenn came up with this recipe as well, right? And this was probably the phenomenal thing that showed me the depth of the behavior aspect that he was thinking about the leather care, because leather care beyond just leather as a leather, but leather with a user. So you've got leather shoes and you're wearing them, or leather boots. All of the current processes for protecting yourself in rain or wet environments either involve smothering the leather with heavy oils, and then you create that rot environment from not allowing it to breathe, or you're going to cover it up with galoshes, or you're going to cover it with sticky silicones that are going to block the pores, or you have to wear only corrected grain or something like that. So it really it makes it so that you have to use a completely different tool, and you may only like to wear your normal full grain leather shoes. And so the creation of this was, is there a way to make it so that the water could be prevented from entering, reducing that, so create kind of a hydrophobic cream. So it's a cream polish, as you showed.
can I read the
That's
ingredients?
yeah, sure.
Beeswax, orange. Oh, first of all, let me read let me take the regular cream. So regular cream, walnut cream polish. Ingredients: coconut oil, beeswax, carnauba wax. Hang on, did I read that wrong? Orange oil, beeswax, carnauba wax, coconut oil, pigment. Okay, that's the
Yes.
regular one. Are they in order of volume, like food is?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So then this one is the water resistant is beeswax, orange oil, coconut oil. What is that? Bentonite?
Bentonite clay, sodium bentonite
Bentonite
clay.
and carnauba wax earth pigment.
Yeah, so yeah, bentonite clay. Actually, it was in the news recently with the whole Facebook pipeline drilling. They were using bentonite clay as the thing for drilling the overseas pipeline. So anyway, it's in the news. But yeah, so sodium bentonite clay, it's commonly, and it's a food grade product, organic natural product. They often use it in facial masks. They use it for drying out like ponds. Yeah, go for it. It's a good skincare routine. You got your coconut oil. And what it does is it makes it so when water responds to it, it immediately expands and prevents the water from penetrating or dries up. what it does in the cream polish here is, oh, my light just changed there, is it makes almost like a hydrophobic barrier without preventing the leather from being able to breathe. You've still got a lot of the pores to be able to breathe, right? So you've got the coconut oil keeps it conditioned. You've got the beeswax which keeps it protected. Now the bentonite clay, when water hits it, the water beads up, doesn't penetrate as fast. Now, I mean, it's not a waterproofer. You
Right.
step and submerge it completely, water will get in. And you've got, you know, eyelets that water will get in through there too as well. But it's intended for those little falls and reducing kind of the amount of water that enters.
Here's what I did, and again, maybe I'll cut in the video here. So I took the left shoe. I did polish the entire, pretty much, I didn't take the laces out, but I did polish pretty much the entire upper with it. It does seem to take, you seem to have to let it sit for a little bit before you brush it. Is that true?
Yeah, it's got a different technique. I mean, it's definitely our most advanced product, you know, compared with our high shine. But you've got to both press it in a little bit more. It's got more beeswax, even more conditioning oil than our regular cream. That's a little hack that some people aren't aware of, but our cordovan shell lovers love it in that regard. But yeah, so it's got more texture to it, and so you got to kind of get it in, brush it, and then activate it. And I don't know if I ran through the activation with you, but did you? Okay. And I think it's on the instructions on the back, or maybe it's on my new instructions. I just ran a bunch of new labels, but activating it is a key component. The water's going to touch it. It's going to respond anyway. The bentonite clay is there. And if you're brushing it and you're putting it across the surface, it's already on the surface. So it's going to respond just fine. So yeah, if you...
Yeah, and I think what I want to do is maybe take a clean toothbrush and then get it into the brogue holes and the pinking, because, you know, you're using your finger, you know, your finger has a radius to it, and it's going to miss, you know, the crevice. So yeah, I was impressed. I mean, the way I look at it is, if I'm going to polish my shoe and I have the right color, in other words, I'm not looking at necessarily as, well, I'm paying for a waterproofing product. Why don't I just buy a product that is, oh, by the way, on top of everything, it does water resistant as well? You know, like a bonus is kind of the way I see it.
Yeah, it is, except for the fact that, you know, getting a mirror shine often involves a water process. You know, that final buffing of a mirror shine involves, you know, water buffing, water droplets or ice cube or whatnot. And with the hydrophobic qualities of a water resistant cream, it makes it more challenging to be able to do it. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but there are a few who've accomplished it beautifully. I mean, put this challenge out there, right? You know, you get the mirror shine with water resistant and a high shine. It's got its own trickiness to it, because often water is that nice gentle solvent with the high shine wax, and you're putting it on a hydrophobic cream. You've got this interesting chemistry effect that's going on there.
Well, and on these, I already did the mirror shine before. I used
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the things. But for people who aren't looking for the mirror shine or the high shine effect, it's a great cream, and it offers extra protection.
Got it. Makes sense. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually our #1 recommended product for cordovan shell right now. Yeah.
Really? Okay. And for those that don't know, I'll link below as well. What is shell cordovan? Shell cordovan does not come from a cow. Sorry, you know, bovine, right? I learned that from Phil Callis, right?
Right.
It is a horse hide. It is a membrane under the skin, and there's only 2 pieces about that big on a whole horse. And you know, instead of being $10-12 a square foot, it's like $100 a square foot or something like that. So, but it's very sought after leather. It does not break like make those micro creases. So, go get this shoe from Allen Edmonds, brand new, full retail price $400. Shell cordovan $695.
Yeah.
You know, but. Okay, so I'm gonna have to cut this video off here. I'm gonna bring it to a stopping point, and in the next episode here that I'll probably upload immediately, you're gonna see us talk about the mirror shine, the high shine product. Okay. All right, thank you for watching, everybody. And if you've ever been caught by your spouse watching a video in secret, she rips the phone out of your hands, and you're watching somebody polish shoes and she just rolls her eyes and hands the phone back to you, you might want to consider subscribing to my channel. All right, thank you very much, everybody. God bless.